Uh, yes, I think Goma ritual, one of the most famous rituals in Shingon Buddhism, at least for outsiders. Uh, yes, I think it serves this purpose. But we don't know that much about the Goma ritual. I know it's a fire ritual. You uh, put the fires, and it's almost like for Westerners, maybe it's a witchcraft and stuff. So, please tell us more about the Goma ritual.
Um, I would say this is the most, one of the more spectacular rituals that we have in Shingon. So um, I always joke that, we are setting the temple on fire on a regular basis. So, come watch. Um, so we're using directly the imagery of fire as part of our spiritual practice. And I think it helps to understand, so we're experiencing historic forest fires here in the Pacific Northwest. And so many people right now think of fire in a destructive way, but traditionally it's known as a transformative energy or transformative element. And the way fire was used historically was to transform something like metal, right? You take the raw ore and you add fire, and then you get rid of the impurities and you're left with the pure metal. Or you take um, a softer metal, you combine them, you get an alloy that's stronger, has better properties. So we're bringing that element, right? Something that's very primal, something that's very basic component of the universe into a spiritual practice. So from a Buddhist stance, we're looking at this fire as how do you transform the person? So you're taking all of your negative things, all of the things that are obstructions to enlightenment. So hatred, jealousy, anger, aversion, and you're not burning them up, you're transforming them, right? So you're taking away your false understanding of these emotions and components of the mind and seeing that if you can turn it around, it can be joy and happiness and compassion. So every negative emotion has the potential for something positive, something that can actually benefit our spiritual practice. What's unique about the Goma is it's done outside the person. So we have on the altar, our focus is not only inside, but also outside. So we're offering things into the fire and we're visualizing, this is transforming a part of my consciousness. This is transforming the consciousness of the people. So if you attend the Goma, you have the opportunity to write the Gomagi, you have the stick, so you can write your wishes or what are your obstacles. So whenever I perform this, I get to see, as I'm offering those sticks into the fire, what are people praying for? What are their hopes? And all of their hopes are about transforming themselves and transforming their life. And so if we can really focus on that, it can be very powerful because it's something we can see, it's tangible. It's not just someone sitting silently. It's something that we can engage with directly. So our physical written desire is physically, transformed in the fire. So the more we engage with this active practice, the more we can transform. I think you can make when people have really good travel, they travel someplace new, they can learn a lot about themselves. If they go to a foreign country and they really understand the culture, people come back with a different understanding of their own life. And ritual practice is a way for you, in a very controlled area to try to transform a part of yourself and then come away with a different perspective. So it can be very powerful. And I think it was always meant to be this way. It was meant to, I think, shock people in a good way, and get them out of their routine, get them out of their kind of day-to-day thinking. So I think in this way, the Goma especially is something when people come to the temple and see it, they're often, quite taken by it. I remember I invited a PhD candidate in California to the temple once, and he wanted to see the Goma. And afterwards, he asked my teacher to inspect the altar because he couldn't understand from a material science perspective how it burned in that space, and he wanted to see what went in it. So from him, his scientific mind was struggling in many ways. And then after he got a close-up look, he had a different perspective. He relaxed. Part of this mental struggle stopped, and he looked very calm, peaceful. So I think sometimes our jobs, our daily life can be so rigid and kind of put us into a formulaic way of thinking. We need something maybe dramatic to have this breakthrough, to have a different viewpoint. So the Goma is one of those. Any kind of ritual practice can be part of that.
So what happens to the practitioner when they do Goma? So they turn into like one of the Buddhist deities in the temple or something. So we're just curious.
So in all of the ritual practices, and this is true in Tibetan Buddhism as well, you're visualizing that you and the deity are becoming one. And in the Goma and the others, you have this visualization process. So this visualization is difficult. It takes a lot of practice to do. So whenever there's a ritual, this is part of that practice. And in the Goma, what's different is it's sort of, you're visualizing this is happening in the fire. So I think it's a very powerful practice for the practitioner. If you've ever gone camping and people build a fire and everybody gathers around, and their experience sitting around the fire telling stories is different than if you don't have a fire. So there's something, I think, just about this basic element of the universe, fire, that has this potential to be transformative. So building a ritual around, the element of fire is, I think, natural for human beings. And on a really base level, it's, we spend a lot of time inside our houses, cut off from the universe, cut off from nature. And there's nothing more, basic and elemental in a way than fire. And so I think it helps break down a lot of the intellectual barriers that we have that are keeping us from truly experiencing meditation.